Yes, the competition is in fact getting better, but somehow Cael Sanderson and Penn State Wrestling continue to raise the bar.
You are Locked On Nittany Lions, your daily podcast on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked on to Penn State Wrestling. Thank you so much for making Locked On Nittany Lions your first listen and watch every single day. My name is Zach Seyko, and I'm your host of the show, the #1 Penn State sports podcast out there. That is Jeff Byers, the voice of Penn State Wrestling. And Jeff, we have plenty to catch up on here since the NCAA tournament wrapped up. News breaking left and right about recruits flipping, Rocco Welsh, Masanosuke Ono committing to the program. How does Penn State and Cael Sanderson continue to do it as Oklahoma State is leveling up? Iowa, Nebraska are certainly right there making things interesting in the present, but yet Cael Sanderson and Penn State continue to push the bar. So that's what we're going to answer first while talking about how does Welsh impact the lineup, Ono as well, and then this head-to-head battle between Cael Sanderson and David Taylor in the final segment. So Jeff, let's begin there. Penn State continues to raise the bar. The competition's getting better. It seems like they're going to get closer, but then Penn State and Cael Sanderson continue to move away, to move forward. It's the best mat room in the country, best coaching, best training partners. I think that's a simple answer here. That's simply enough to get the interest and the intrigue from all these competitive wrestlers.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's that, and it's their approach too, right? Like they truly love the sport, and it really is all about just creating a room where there's that passion, love of the sport and competition, and rather than shy away from competition, they're looking for the guys that are seeking it out, and so I don't think there's a lot of ill will within the room. Oh, I can't believe they're bringing this guy in or that guy in. It's like, I think I'm the guy. Bring in whoever you want. I'll beat them. It'll make me better, having better training partners. And listen, they have some really, really intriguing individual matchups here. And, in a couple of weight classes, probably a couple of wrestle-offs that'll be very, very intriguing. But again, I think it's just the nature of what Cael and this coaching staff as a whole has created here, where people see the track record, see the success, and I think there's a couple of other components to it. I think there's a genuine authenticity and honesty here. I don't think Penn State. I know Penn State doesn't promise anybody anything when it comes to NIL or to starting rules or anything like that. That they're very upfront and listen. They'll help, and they're trying to create great opportunities for their kids, both competitively and in the NIL world and in every other way. But again, they are not promising anybody anything. But I think the kids that are coming in or being recruited, or even for the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club. Right. One of the things you do is you talk to the people. It's like, all right, well, the coaches are telling me one thing. That's fine. Then you go and you talk to the wrestlers and, the alums that are in the room. And all right, let's get the real story. And lo and behold, those kids back up and those men back up everything that the coaches are telling them. So I think there's, Cael talks a lot about consistency. It's consistency of message, it's consistency with the way they approach things, and it's consistency in terms of the message being given across the board. Obviously, message of gratitude is big, but also the message of, listen, we'll give you the opportunity to come in and compete, and then it's up to you. We'll do everything we can to help you get better and to compete at the highest level, but ultimately, it's you that's got to go out there and figure out how to get this done for yourself.
Transparency, honesty, as you mentioned, consistency. And this is all bigger than just, will they be a starter in the collegiate lineup? Like I mentioned earlier, it's about training with the best of the best. It's being alongside Olympic medalists in Kyle Dake, Kyle Snyder, Aaron Brooks, and then it just continues. And then you see people even have success outside of the Olympics. So the options are endless. So this is bigger than just, oh, how do they get into the lineup? There's going to be competition there. There is that authenticity that you said, where everybody's genuine and everybody's working towards the same common goal of just getting better, just showing up and fighting. There's not these competing interests. And for the people that do have competing interests, Cael Sanderson doesn't try to recruit them more than what they are. And Cael has said that. We're not going to force a connection. We're not going to force a relationship. If people want to be here, then they will want to be here.
Yeah, and listen, I mean, there's a lot of coaches that would love to be in that position and would love to be able to go out and do that. Very few have, you start with the credentials that Cael had when he first got into coaching, and then obviously the success he's had. So it is, the combination of what he has been able to build over his competitive and then coaching career that allows him now to have this opportunity where they can be pretty selective. And with the changing rules too, now they can offer a full ride, even if they have 2 or 3 or 4 guys in a given weight class. Again, if somebody else wants to come in, they have the resources, and now the scholarships available that at the very least you can provide that opportunity for these guys. And again, they're obviously working. When I say they're not promising anything, I mean, they're not promising anything specific in terms of, hey, we'll get you this amount or we'll get you this deal. But again, these guys talk, and Penn State, if you come here, Penn State is going to work very hard, just as Oklahoma State and Iowa and a lot of these top programs are. Penn State's not alone here by any stretch. But yeah, they're going to work their tails off to make sure that you are taken care of and that you get the opportunities financially, as well as from a competitive standpoint. But I think it's the holistic approach, if you will, that Penn State takes that I think ultimately is paying big dividends in terms of reputation, and why a guy like Rocco Welsh, even looking at the room that is absolutely stocked, says, yeah, I want to give this a shot because I want to come and try to be the very best wrestler, the very best person I can be. And again, it's not a shot. I think Oklahoma State is trying to make its people the best they can be. I think Iowa, Nebraska, and you go right on down the line. I mean, there are lesser programs in terms of the competitiveness. When I say lesser programs, I mean not competing for national titles, where they have very caring coaches, great opportunities competitively and in the NIL world and all of that. But is it going to match what Penn State can offer? And, certainly is it going to be able to match the track record here of Cael Sanderson and staff for now over a decade and a half? And obviously the answer is no. Nobody else comes close right now in terms of the overall credentials.
Certainly that explains it to a T, because there are people that are going to say that Penn State is dishing out slush fund ludicrous amounts of NIL, and it's not that. It is not that. It's that holistic approach where, yeah, you have opportunities to make NIL, but it's not Penn State giving you a direct deposit. It is this holistic approach where they get more than just that. And that's why there is this appeal. That's why there's this interest despite all of the competition. It's just, how can I get better? How can I go in? And that's it goes back to the common values of it all, Jeff, that everybody has, they're working towards a common goal. They share the same interests. They share the same values, which makes this, and then you don't have to force anything. Then this happens seamlessly. And it's why Cael Sanderson isn't running around putting out fires, because everybody is self-sufficient, and you can everybody trusts Cael, and then Cael trusts everybody else to work towards that common goal without any issues.
Yeah, and I think there's, I think trust is the right word there, where parents feel very comfortable trusting Cael and his staff, and again, kids that are looking at, hey, where can I go to become the best wrestler I can be. And we've talked about it over the years, and maybe it's coming to fruition more now than ever, where a lot of these kids have dreams above and beyond their NCAA careers, which is not to say that they don't have big dreams there too, and they're not pursuing that too. But, for a long time, many, and to some degree, including myself, have, I think, thought that with the logjam at some of these weight classes, with some of these recruiting classes, it is just inevitable that some or a lot of these wrestlers are going to transfer out, that they're going to want the opportunity to compete. No doubt that some will. I mean, Alex Facundo is a great example, and nobody begrudges him that. And there will undoubtedly be others. Yep. But I'm not sure it's going to be quite the wholesale
exodus
departures, that people thought that it might be, in part because three different things.
Penn State has to be spending massive amounts of NIL dollars, right, to make all of this happen? We'll answer that question and more coming up next here on Locked On Nittany Lions. And today's show is brought to you by Nissan. We're all about the stats because numbers do not lie. And when it comes to the all-new Nissan Armada PRO-4X, the numbers are on an MVP level. With the ability to tow up to 8,500 pounds, it can quite literally carry the whole team. Plus the gear wherever you need to go. It's powered by a twin-turbo V6 engine, delivering the strength and performance to handle highways, back roads, and everything in between. And with room for up to 8 people. The Armada PRO-4X is built for big crews, big adventures, and even bigger memories. Whether you're exploring off-road trails or rolling up to the arena, the Armada PRO-4X brings power, versatility, and style wherever you go. Take your adventures to new heights in the all-new Nissan Armada PRO-4X. Learn more at nissanusa.com. That is nissanusa.com. Today's show is also brought to you by FanDuel. March Madness is here, if you didn't know already. And FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. You can pick your favorites. If you got your eye on a few underdogs this year, FanDuel will make it easy to back them with spreads, totals, and game props. You get to stay in the action. With tournament games happening almost every day, there's always something exciting to bet on. It's easy. It's fast. The FanDuel app is simple to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly. There's no waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. Again, that is FanDuel.com. One final time, FanDuel.com.
One is, again, if your goal is just to become the best wrestler and you're not overly caught up in, hey, how many national titles or All-America honors or all of that, but hey, I just want to be the best wrestler I can be, become the best person. Again, you can argue that Penn State right now, the best place to allow that to happen. Two, a lot of these kids do have Olympic aspirations, world championship aspirations. And I will just tell you, I've talked to some of the kids and some of the parents, and they believe, regardless of whether their kiddo or themselves start here at Penn State, that down the road they will be on the Olympic teams, on the world teams. They see a path there where you normally think, hey, you have to be a college starter and a college starter with credentials. And generally speaking, that has been the case. But I think I know there are guys that believe they will be starters in college, but they're okay even if they're not, because they believe that with the training here at Penn State, they will be able to pursue those world or Olympic aspirations. And then the other component here, Zach, and I don't think it's insignificant, is the financial angle. I don't know exactly what the final numbers are going to settle on here in terms of the number of scholarships that different schools are going to offer. I cannot imagine there are many that'll be offering more than 20.
30 is a stretch.
Yes, of the 30 possible. My guess is Penn State, Oklahoma State, and Iowa are going to be the three that by a good bit, and there may be others that I'm missing, but those three I think will provide a lot of scholarship opportunities. Now, exactly, again, where that number settles, I don't think it'll be 30, but I think probably somewhere between 20 and 25 is where that number settles. Well, you have that availability now where previously you had 9.9 scholarships, and there was just no financial way to make it work for a Rocco Welsh to be in the same room with a Zach Ryder, a Josh Barr, a Connor Mirasola. Well, now, again, you can maneuver some things around and provide those opportunities where you can go, maybe 3 deep at a given weight in terms of the scholarship opportunities. And because you are part of the Penn State program, there is going to be some opportunities here for NIL, even if you're not a starter. And again, we're not talking about millions of dollars for a backup, but can a backup at Penn State that has a personality and is, doing some good things in open tournaments, get some additional revenue in for themselves? Absolutely. And I don't think there's a lot of places where that's the case. Again, maybe Iowa, maybe Oklahoma State, but I think that's probably about it. Again, there may be a few other programs that at least here and there may be able to provide that as well.
If you had any doubts how Cael Sanderson and Penn State are doing it, how they continue to still push ahead of the competition, there's your explanation right there. Now, on to the impact of Rocco Welsh and Masanosuke Ono in the lineup next season. Well, they're certainly going to have competitions. Ono has said that he can wrestle now in a somewhat of a joking manner. He did say that he can compete at 125 all the way up to 157. I appreciate his confidence. And that's what every wrestler needs. So, but Ono, we know realistically, he has talked about how he might cut to 57 kilos for his freestyle, eventually preparation for the Los Angeles Olympics in 2028. That's, closer than it may seem, but Ono could wrestle at 125, 133, or 141. Realistically, before we get to Rocco Welsh, let's address the Ono dilemma somewhat. It's a dilemma because Luke Lilidal's at 25. Braden Davis and Aaron Nagao presently are still at 133. At 141, it seemed like Marcus Blaze was the heir apparent with Bo Bartlett moving on. What I've always been saying through these recent podcasts, Jeff, is that Penn State has options. They have options. They are not boxed into anything. They are not backed into a corner. Well, we have to start so-and-so. We can't redshirt anybody. They have flexibility to where you can make it all work. Lilidal has a red shirt. Braden Davis has a red shirt. And Marcus Blaze has a red shirt. So you can go any path that you want. For what it is worth, Ono has a red shirt. We'll see how it ultimately unfolds here. I think that Ono maybe makes the most sense at 141 because he's never really cut weight consistently. He is going through folk style training. So we'll see, but I think it has to more so do with what are his freestyle aspirations? Where does he want to settle in at despite winning a 61 kilo world championship?
Yeah, I think the other component there, Zach, is, I know folks are just presuming he's going to come in and dominate. And again, I'm certainly predicting success for him, but I will say folk style is a different animal, number one. And number two, college wrestling is a different animal as well. In freestyle, you are spending months of preparation and then you have a competition. And then you recover, months of preparation and a competition. And it's kind of a pattern. But most of these guys are competing in 3 to 5 competitions a year. College wrestling, and again, it's just, I don't know sometimes that people are appreciating just what the student athletes are going through in this sport. It is a 7-minute grind instead of 6 minutes. The dual meets are basically weekly during the course of the season, generally speaking. And that is, it's just a different wear and tear on your body. It is a different conditioning that is needed. And you're juggling classes along with everything else that you're not, if you're out of the college wrestling scene. You're not juggling that when you're in the freestyle circuit. So, again, I'm not predicting anything other than success for Ono. It's just that I don't think it's just going to be quite as automatic as what some are making it out to be. It is a transition. It's a transition to go to classes, to be on the Penn State
in a different
campus.
Country.
Yes, in a different country, learning a different style of wrestling. And again, that mat wrestling, there's a different mental and physical component to it. It just wears you out much more, both on bottom and on top than what freestyle does. And again, it's a different type of conditioning, both because of the frequency of the competition, but also the type of competition it is. So there's a lot of adjustments that are coming here for Ono. Now, do I think Ono, with the competitive fire he has, with the love of the sport, with the coaching staff he has? Yes. I think it'll all go well. But again, I don't think it's going to be, hey, we just snapped the fingers and there's Ono winning everything by technical fall or pin, and he's a national champion. There's a lot of really good guys who have been wrestling folk style since they were very, very young, and are really good on top, really good at getting out underneath and all of that. I just think it's going to be a challenge, and I think it's a challenge that Ono will welcome. I think he'll, again, make that transition, but it is going to be a transition. And I think there's a lot of different components there that he'll need to work on. And yeah, there is a lot of flexibility there with Penn State. You know, people are asking me, I have zero idea. I'm not sure, honestly, that the coaches really have any idea how any of this is going to shake out.
And what the best option even is at this point.
Yeah, and I think those are discussions. I don't think there's any need to even have those discussions right now. Now, if a wrestler comes in and says, hey, I'm seeing the situation now, I would really like to take the next year and work on, maybe bulking up or, figuring this element of my game out, I think redshirting would be my best option. My guess is the coaches, because by and large, Cael has repeatedly said, listen, the kids are making the calls on this. Like, we can give a recommendation but to my knowledge, I don't think Cael has ever told a kid, hey, you must redshirt if the kid wanted to compete, or vice versa. I don't think there's been a situation there where they've, gone against a kid's wishes. And so, again, I don't know enough about what different people's thought processes are right now and how they might be viewing the upcoming season. But there are a lot of different ways that this could play out, including the weight class. As you said, I mean, you could see Ono going anywhere from 25 to 41, I would think, in the upcoming season. And depending on, what some of the other kids want to do and where they're growing and what they're feeling in terms of their optimal weight. Again, maybe one or two of them do redshirt in the upcoming season. Maybe they figure out, a way to get down or up from where they're at. And, we'll just, like everybody else, I'll just wait and see how it all plays out. I think it is going to be very, very interesting. I think these guys will talk. I think they'll have a pretty good idea probably by the summer of at least what guys are thinking. But again, there's so many things that factor into with injuries. And then, if you hit a growth spurt,
depth,
weight training. And so I just think you wait and see how it all shakes out. But there are a lot of very, very good options up and down that lineup right now for Penn State,
to certainly say the least. To speak to Ono, I do have confidence that he will be able to adjust and learn accordingly, because you don't defeat Vito Arujau by accident. You don't win a U20 title by accident. So Ono certainly has the fire, the passion, and the wits to pick up on even something that is going to be really different for him at that point in time. But the point is, for Penn State's lineup concerns, is they have options. Same thing with Rocco Welsh coming in. Welsh comes in. Penn State now has options at 184. It seemed like the simple solution was Zach Ryder's turn. He has 4 years of eligibility. Maybe Josh Barr cuts down back to his natural weight of 184. So what is Penn State's solution there? What maybe is the best option? We'll discuss where Welsh fits into the lineup, how it could look, and the Cael Sanderson versus David Taylor battle that is not going anywhere. That's all coming up next here on Locked On Nittany Lions. Today's episode is also brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Daylight savings snuck up on us again. And if you're feeling that lost hour of sleep, 5 Hour Energy has your back. The extra sunshine means more time for fun, but sometimes you need a little boost to power through all of it. So whether you're staying up late, watching the NCAA tournament, squeezing in a round of golf after work, or just trying to keep up with your busy day, 5 Hour Energy gives you the quick, refreshing pick-me-up whenever you need it. Basketball madness, all of the basketball madness. You're going to be staying up late watching some of this tournament action, and 5 Hour Energy helps you keep up with your next day. Extra daylight means extra activities. With longer days, if you love getting outside to go for a hike, go for a jog, you can go to 5 Hour Energy for that quick boost, and it's the on-the-go convenience. Whether you're traveling, you're at an event, you're at a game, 5 Hour Energy is easy to grab and go and keeps you feeling refreshed. Head to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, peach mango, tropical burst, you name it. You can even build your own 12 or 24 pack and have it delivered right to your door. Do you need one now? Grab a 5 Hour Energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store. They are everywhere. Stock up today and stay energized with 5 Hour Energy. So it seemed like Ono was going to be the biggest surprise of the offseason. And anything can change at any point in time. But now Rocco Welsh is certainly in the spotlight with all of this as, Zach Ryder taking over at 184, had a fantastic redshirt season, was winning every competition you could ask him to. Now Rocco Welsh was doing the same thing at Ohio State, don't mind everybody. But Penn State, I think, had at least a simple solution, a clear solution for what it was at 84. And it just creates that competition. There's always room to better your best. From my point of view, Rocco Welsh is probably in a better situation to challenge for, if that's even where he ultimately wrestles, because he was in the 74 final against Carter Starachi and just came up short. Bulks up, takes the redshirt season. 84 makes sense, and I would say that, he's probably closer to a national title because of the experience, because of how we've seen him perform in an actual collegiate season, not just redshirting. That 84, he's closer to challenging Max McAnally, Angelo Ferrari than maybe a Zach Ryder is, but Zach Ryder's a former top pound-for-pound recruit coming out of high school. He went through that redshirt season similar to Josh Barr, so it seemed like they were kind of on the same timeline, with Ryder taking over at 84 after what Barr just did at 97.
Yeah, listen, it's going to be fascinating. I kind of think back to going into this past season where you had Tyler Casack and Alex Facundo and both elite guys, and Tyler's like, yep, we're both elite, but I'm the guy, and went out and took care of business. It's just, we'll see how it shakes out. I'm obviously more familiar with Zach Ryder. I just can't imagine Zach Ryder giving up the spot. Now, that being said, if Josh Barr does drop back down to 84, I can't imagine either of those guys not being the guy. And wow. Obviously, again, I know there's just one spot there. When you bring Rocco Welsh in, and I certainly know of him, but I mean, I haven't been around him. I don't know the personality and all of that. But to me, what you have here is, in my mind, 3 of the 5 guys that I would project as the possibilities to win the 2026. And there's always surprises. There's undoubtedly going to be somebody out there that emerges. But to me, you have Ferrari, you have McAnally, and then you have these 3 guys in the Penn State room. And to me, one of those 5 is going to be likely your national champion in 2026. For the 3 Penn State guys, obviously, objective number 1 is to get in the lineup. And if Josh Barr stays at 197, which I think is a possibility, but again, Connor Mirasola is there. And I think with the year of experience he now has in the room and another summer that he'll have under his belt, again, we've been talking for a while that, man, they just have 3 elite guys in 2 spots. Well, now you have 4 elite guys and still just the 2 spots. I don't know how it's going to shake out. I'm fascinated to see. I think regardless of how it shakes out and who's where, Penn State can feel very, very confident that it will have a national title contender at the very least in those weights. And really, when you start looking at the lineup next year, they probably have title contenders at least 9 and maybe all 10 weights again.
And this is a year-by-year situation. Just because Barr might cut this season, maybe he does, or it's Rocco Welsh at 84, or it's Zach Ryder at 84. Someone could always go down to 74. Remember, Levi Haynes has 1 more season of eligibility, and 74 opens up, and Ryder and Welsh could absolutely make that cut down to that weight class. So Penn State has options at the end of the day, and you can project the most likely ones, but I don't even know that there is a most likely one because, Barr can be a title contender at 84. He proved that he could be a title contender at 97 in his first year starting. What if Connor Mirasola can do that as well at 97? Jeff, just to briefly speak to it, because heavyweight seems to have the least resistance, if you will. Cole Mirasola, twin brother to Connor. Just how's his development going before we get to the Cael Sanderson, David Taylor head-to-head battle?
Yeah, I think very well. I think he's, like all of these guys, even a Carter Starachi will tell you he's still a work in progress. But Cole is certainly, again, a work in progress. I think, probably one of the bigger points of emphasis this offseason will be getting Connor bigger and stronger, but more just size, getting good mass on him. And I know wrestlers like to kind of joke about it. It's like, man, I want to be the guy that has to put on weight. Putting on good weight, I get the grueling nature of losing weight, but putting on good weight, when you talk to Anthony Cassar and the difficulty that he had in making the move up to heavyweight, again, it's not that these guys are just out eating pizza and ice cream and, hey, we gained 5 pounds today, congratulations. It is, you are really having to work to get protein in there and to get on the right weight and be in the weight room.
To put on weight when you're burning calories.
Consistently, yeah. And it is not an easy thing. I know it sounds wonderful to the wrestlers that are routinely cutting weight, but it really is. It is its own exercise in discipline. But I think Cole will add, my guess is 10 to 15 really good pounds in the offseason. And I think he'll be in the mix next year. Exactly where, I don't know. But that weight class opens up a good bit in terms of the top contenders from the last couple of years.
Everybody.
Now moving on. And so, Cole will be one of a number of young heavyweights that people will be keeping an eye on. I think Cole, by the time we get to next season, will be right there in the mix and among the contenders in the heavyweight division.
All right, we promised it. The wait is over. This head-to-head battle between Cael Sanderson and David Taylor. And I know Iowa's going to be there because they are committed to the sport of wrestling. I can't speak exactly to Ohio State because we've seen the Rocco Welsh situation. Michigan could certainly be a player if they wanted to put the investment into it. It's hard for me to foresee Northern Iowa, Lehigh, Arkansas, Little Rock to continue to just keep up in this arms race with primarily Penn State and Oklahoma State. And then Iowa's going to be there. But David Taylor's a protege of Cael Sanderson. He's taking the exact fundamentals, building out the RTC program, creating a foundation, keeping people that are Oklahoma State people first and foremost committed to the program for the long haul, and then everything will take care of itself. It creates this domino effect. So this is what David Taylor is doing is exactly out of the blueprint that Cael Sanderson has shown for the past decade plus, and he's lived it. He's been there. So Oklahoma State is Penn State adjacent, with David Taylor combining it with the Oklahoma State nature of how they want to conduct their wrestling program. Yeah,
listen, and a ton of resources, right, at Oklahoma State. They are pouring a lot of money into the wrestling program. And I don't say that, I keep reading different things. I'm not saying that disparagingly, like that we are in the era we're in. And
they're committed.
Again, you can decide not to play and thus not be competitive at the highest level, or you can get on board. And again, Penn State, when I say they're not promising anything, again, on the other hand, they are doing everything they can to keep up or surpass everybody else in every regard. And Oklahoma State is certainly doing that. Iowa, and again, there's probably some other programs that are at least working to try to make that happen. But no question that Oklahoma State is all in, and I think David Taylor obviously has a great reputation. I think the tournament Oklahoma State just had is certainly not going to do anything to harm that reputation or to quell any excitement that folks have. If anything, just the opposite. And, there's a reason. There's a buzz right now around that Oklahoma State program and what David Taylor and that coaching staff may be able to do. I think Cael Sanderson and his staff will welcome all challenges. They are a competitive group, and it is going to be bring it on, and they'll do everything they can to sustain the ongoing success here. I do think it's going to be good for college wrestling to see how this shakes out, and different people will be lining up different allegiances. I think, again, across the board at the highest levels, you're going to have some really competitive situations here in not just on the mat and in all of the different ways in the coming years. What I do worry about is whether or not, again, we just have such a select group of the haves that can continue in this arms race, if you will, that at the end of the day, there's not enough and others to allow the sport to sustain itself. And that is my ongoing concern. I'm hoping there's enough schools out there. And listen, at the end of the day, it might only be 20 to 30, but if you have 20 to 30 that are, again, all in, relatively speaking, that at least they can put out competitive teams. They can, have guys that are competing for titles and All-America honors, then I think you can make it work. But if you only have 3 or 5 teams that are doing that, I think it's going to be a very tough sell.
I'll give David Taylor credit. He certainly landed his punches. Jax Forrest, Drayshawn Ross, Roman Bravo Young to directly, but now Penn State and Cael Sanderson have had time to respond with Oh No, and Rocco Welsh going up head to head there, and Jaden James most recently. So this battle will continue to move forward. It's only going to get more interesting. But yeah, David Taylor seemed like he was starting to gain some ground, and then Cael Sanderson and Penn State responded. But at least it is more than just, it's the Penn State wrestling show. No, Oklahoma State's going to have a say in this. Iowa's going to have a say in this. And we hope that Nebraska continues. Michigan and Ohio State get involved. Northern Iowa, Lehigh, Arkansas, Little Rock are able to keep up as well. So, but we'll see how it all unfolds if they are willing to do so. That's going to do it for this edition of Locked On Nittany Lions. A lot of great information, discourse around Penn State wrestling and where the entire sport of collegiate wrestling stands. He is the voice of Penn State wrestling, Jeff Byers. He is also a morning show host over at 98.7 the Fox Sports radio affiliate in State College. Links to Jeff's work outside of wrestling will be down in the description. Please, everyone, go check them out. Jeff, thank you so much for the time. Great to catch up with you after an amazing NCAA tournament for Penn State, to say the least. But this news has our attention, and it's certainly going to keep building throughout the offseason. That's the hope, but that's what we know. But again, as always, really appreciate your time. Thanks for this conversation.
Sure. Thanks, Zach.
And once again, thank you so much for checking out this edition of Locked On Nittany Lions. Thank you so much for making us your first listen and watch every single day. For your second listen and watch, you got to check out Locked On College Basketball. With all of the madness, March is here. It's in full swing. Be the most informed college basketball fan out there with Locked On College Basketball, hosted by Isaac Shade and Andy Patton. It's available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.